We recently had a great conversation with Melissa Kraft, the CIO of the city of Frisco. And now we're starting to see some ripple effects, or at least it's coming out on the headlines. And we wanted to give an example about what's going on in Florida, right? On how they're starting to roll out the government of Florida, how they're starting to roll out some AI initiatives. I know you did a lot of research there. You want to walk us through that?
Sure. Thanks, Albert. So let's first talk about, I don't think you've got a voice for headspace. So I don't think a lot of people are meditating while
Yeah. We
but
need that.
yes, you definitely need that meditation. I just don't know that our high energy is going to be what's going to help people meditate. So
I'm going to work on
I
my
do think that drinking
tone.
coffee, driving to work is a perfect use of listening to us, but
Good
meditating,
point.
not yet. Maybe we spike this off, and we'll do a meditation podcast next.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, like you were saying, we had a great conversation with Melissa Kraft last week that was released on Monday about
So
what
good.
she's doing for the city of Frisco. Great conversation. If you've not read that or listened to that, please go there. There's a lot of great insights of how to lead your organization through change, through an AI
Yes.
adoption, and be able to do that. But what we've seen is Florida's doing something very similar, and I think they're taking a playbook of Doge and really start utilizing AI to address the fraud, waste, and abuse use cases across the government and the
So
state
good.
government. And this is a great use of how you can use AI to be able to do that, because AI will help you find those needles in a haystack. They'll find where those issues where fraud could potentially be happening. That doesn't mean that it's a smoking gun. It just points you to a point where you want to start investigating and understanding more. So being able to compute all of this large data that we have available to us, now having a tool like generative AI to be able to ask questions and start identifying, hey, give me who's got the most consistent payments being paid out. Like, what's going on here? Why are we sending out payments 5 times a week to this one company? You can start investigating that and being able to understand that. So I think this is definitely a use case where I see a lot of value, where AI can help identify a lot of that fraud capability to help with cost savings, to help with understanding where that's going. But I think this is where there's a lot of great opportunities where AI can help you.
Yeah, you're spot on. We heard it from Melissa. Right now, we're starting to see it in Florida, and I don't think they're the only ones, right? That's obviously making the headlines now. And to your point, right, we're starting to see some replication from the Doge initiatives, and I think it's because the public is saying, "Hey, what are you doing with my taxpayer dollars?" Right? And governments are starting to realize, well, we have this technology to really shape things up. The only thing I thought about was, and we see this on the national headlines, but let's talk about local state government, local city, is how does that impact the labor force specifically in those government entities and in our cities? And so Melissa and I chatted about that a little bit, but I wanted to get your thoughts on, well, what does that look like? Are we going to see people be laid off in these local governments, and that can impact our local communities, or are they going to be repositioned? Are we at the point where it's all in on AI, specifically in government? Is it all in? What do you think?
So I think that this is a common thing that we're hearing in every industry about, what do I do with the people that are doing a specific task?
Right.
Their task is being automated through AI. What are they going to do? And I don't think it's just a binary, they're either stay or they go. There is a lot of other things that you don't have the time during the day to do that AI will allow you to focus on. It may be reaching out to your customers more, understanding where their pain points are, identifying what else you can do to be able to do that. So I know that for myself, I have a long list of to-do lists. I don't get to that entire to-do list, even with AI helping me. So this is where I feel it's going to open people up to start working on that next level value proposition for their companies, for their cities, for their states, where they can then be unlocked, where they're not doing a task that a very tedious task that maybe doing a financial spreadsheet evaluation or generating a presentation to prepare to the mayor's office. You now have more flexibility to really focus on what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. And
Right.
you were able to do that where a lot of that prep time was just building out the presentation. So these are ways that AI is going to help unlock. I don't think it's the binary, you know, we don't need these people now because we've got PowerPoint generations that automatically presents that information where anyone can get that. So I think that's where I think it's just going to open people up to do more impactful things.
Yeah, so good. And just circling back to the waste, fraud, and abuse, right? I think, in past, while there might have been some, what I would call our local community leader activists saying, "Hey, where are our taxpayer dollars going?" They're making it to every meeting, right? We're scrubbing through the financials that are public, and now I think it's more of a we all get to jump in, and we're all asking, "Hey, what's going on?" And we obviously see the national headlines. So I really love that a lot of local governments and states are now starting to use this technology, right, to mitigate loss prevention, right, and to make sure that our regulatory initiatives are sound. So I mean, really,
But
I'm.
I
Oh,
do
go
want
ahead.
to make sure that people are cautioned. Like, this is not a silver bullet. This is not going to give
Good
you all
point.
of your answers.
Yeah.
There still is potential for biasy concerns that you be able to, not every data is good quality data. So making decisions off of data, like that's one of my pet peeves is when companies say, I'm a data driven organization. I'm like, no, you're not. No one's a data driven organization. You're a data informed, but you're not a data driven organization because if you're making decisions off of data, you'd have a lot better quality data. So just making
Right.
sure that the data you have is quality, make sure there's bias considerations as well as privacy. Making sure you understand
Good point.
exactly the privacy of that data. What are the decisions you're making off there? So just want to make sure people go in with eyes wide open that, it's not just as easy as a push button. Let me use AI and identify all the fraud. You've got to do a lot of that back end work to make sure that it's available and ready for decision making.
So true.